Hi all. Did I start this? Nope. Hi all, and welcome back. All right. My house is the Zoom hub, okay? Every person that is here right now, aside from me right now, is on a Zoom call or some form of meeting. So if you hear mumbling in the background, that is that. And we have to just work with it because everybody got to get their message out and we can't wait because people are on a Zoom call. I just can't. Welcome back. Welcome back to my world. This is Jamira, Gemstone. I'm going to phase out Jamira and just go by Gemstone. And welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. Are you one of those people that say, I hope all is well? Or are you the type to say, how are you? To be honest, I'm a how are you? So let's go with that. How are you doing? How are you? How are you? Right now I'm holding the crystal. So in the previous video, I talked about the Mercury retrograde if you lost crystals. Yeah. Well, this is called blue chalcedony or chalcedony. It is a part of the quartz family. Here's clear quartz. It looks like an ice cube. And this stone here. Also, the blue agate lace. Don't know if I'm talking too close to this microphone. The blue agate lace here. Where's the camera? I have a lot going on. The blue agate lace, there it is. This crystal has bits of this stone within it, the blue chalcedony or blue chalcedony. This was the crystal, not specifically it, but this was a crystal that I flushed down the toilet and I received it yesterday. So I thought, oh my gosh, I got the crystal yesterday, yay. So happy got to this time, but wanted to just share that sometimes, yeah, you might lose something and in order to get it back, you have to pay for it. So there's that. Hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to get into, I realized that what we're talking about are symptoms of the experience or the influence of energies. And Terry O'Reilly, I think that Terry O'Reilly, he has a marketing channel or a marketing podcast called Under the Influence, the perfect name that we can't use now because he has it. And that's a really good marketing podcast if you are into marketing or like hearing stories. It's well made, well made. So I'm here looking for a way to, state this. I don't want to say brand, but it's just get to the point because I feel like for me, I'm about a message. I have a message that I'm here to express and I'm trying to get to the point of said message. So I was thinking, drunk off the stars. Are you drunk off the stars? It's a segment on this channel where we're going to just talk about what I'm feeling and see if you're feeling it too. I realized that I'm a conduit. Have you learned a word and use any time, any moment that you could use to use it? That's me with conduit, okay? I'm a conduit of light. And I imagine myself to be like this lantern where I am capable, and the I that I'm speaking about right now is my vessel, is capable of holding light. And then at the moment, the way that I express it is obviously through how you see me, but is through my communication. So I feel like I'm a conduit of light and the focus is my message. But we're going to talk about appearance because that has something to do with today's topic of discussion. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of our conversation, I want to go over some things. The last conversation we had, we talked about retrograde, and through the discussion of retrograde, we understood that planets move forward and backwards. Consider the forward movement a flow, and the backward movement, it's seemingly backward because it's not actually backward, but that movement, we'll call it an ebb for the purpose of this situation. But you know what? Now let's call it direct active action and direct inward action. So direct active action is the direct motion, direct inward action, aka reflection or introspection, that's retrograde. So anytime you are going through a reflective period, because we are like planets, we have energy and we go through these two motions, you're in retrograde. You're a planet in retrograde. I'm in retrograde right now. So Just talk to me when I come out of it. You know, you're in retrograde, and when you're in active action, you're going direct. That means like get to the point. Say exactly what you mean, and don't beat around the bush and like hope that your eye contact like this helps get the point across. Say it. What do you mean? Don't give me this. Tell me what you mean. What do you mean? I do that where it's like, do you get it? Say what you mean, because usually when I'm doing this, I'm not saying exactly what I mean, and I usually think it's because what I have to say is too harsh. But who am I? Who am I to simplify the truth? Who am I to dress up the truth and make it cute for anybody? Even myself. There's so many harsh realities that I had to adjust to, punches in the face that I had to adjust to. So who am I? The point of this channel is for me to communicate my message, and the message is gonna flow as it is right now. So in astrology, which is the language of the unseen energy that we all feel, yeah? In astrology, we talked about retrograde, which is the motion of the planets. Now we're going to talk about aspects. Today we're going to talk about aspects because I want to talk about 3 particular aspects, or 2. We're going to talk about aspects. Now, an aspect is when one planet, wherever it is, interacts with another planet, wherever it is. It legit has a conversation, and that conversation we're hearing. Let's put it like that. So these 2 planets are talking to each other, and we're hearing it. And sometimes, most of the time, people are hearing this conversation and wondering what's going on, like what's going on, and how they hear it is like, why do I feel so awful today? Like, why do I feel so bad? It's because those planets are talking, and you can hear it, and they're talking, and you can hear it. Now, for those who know that they can hear it, it's not gaslighting. Now it's like, oh my gosh, that's why I'm feeling this way, because of da-da-da-da-da. So we're going to talk about why we're feeling certain ways today. So right now, the conversations that we're going to talk about that are taking place right now, we're going to talk about 2 specific conversations that are happening between 3 planets. So in this situation, for the purpose, you know what, forget simplification. We are all capable of understanding. So there are planets which are masses of energy that absorb light, let's call it that, and they're luminaries, planet or masses of energy that give off light. And the 2 luminaries within our solar system that we know of are the sun, or is the sun, and the moon. The sun is really a satellite. The sun is really a satellite. The sun is really a star, and the moon is really a satellite. The moon stabilizes the earth. The sun gives the earth life. Let's call it that, for the awareness of our awareness within this 3-dimensional reality. Now, also, we're understanding that this is a dynamic reality, and truths are uncovering at all times. So this is to be evolved. This is not stagnant. It is currently evolving. There's no end to it. So this will be changed, and it doesn't mean that it's not valid. It just means that it was evolved. Now our sight has broadened. So I was gonna say, you get me. Of now our sight is broadened. So we're gonna talk about 1 luminary and 2 planets. All right, the luminary that we're gonna talk about, you guessed it, is the sun in Scorpio. Big up to all the Scorpios. Happy birthday to all the Scorpios. Happy belated birthday to the October Scorpios. Belated birthday to the Libras. We can go down the whole zodiac. Happy belated birthday to everybody. Happy belated birthday. We're going to talk about the sun in Scorpio. We're going to talk about Pluto in Capricorn. And we're going to talk about Venus in Libra. Semantics, to the point. So in these conversations, the sun represents, for simplification, we'll simplify this, our ego. Our ego is the persona that fools you, possibly, if you think that you are your body, your thoughts, or your feelings. If you think that you are a product of your environment, as in the environment outside of yourself. If you think that the avatar that you exist in this 3-dimensional reality is the only thing that you are. That you see, this could be a crusher of dreams, or a reality at the moment. So I have empathy towards you, because when I found that out, I'm like, what? I am more than this? Oh my gosh. So then what am I? Like, what is this? Like, what is this? You're a conduit. You're a conduit. That's what it is. But anyway, let's consider the sun, our ego, our persona, our personality, this thing that we can experience through the 3-dimensional senses. And with it in Scorpio, let's just call Scorpio transformation. So the ego right now, your ego, the symptoms of what I'm going to be talking about, one is your ego might be transforming right now. You might be transforming. This transformation might be happening on a physical level, a mental level, an emotional level, and a spiritual level. To the second, let's consider Pluto deep-rooted trauma. Let's just be honest. Deep-rooted trauma and unavoidable change. That's that violation that life gives us, that punch in the face that we talk about all the time. That's Pluto energy. Stuff that you can't go back from because you are aware that it happened and it changed you in a good and bad way because it just changed you. That's Pluto, that deep-rooted emotional trauma, because people will look at deep-rooted emotional trauma and say that it is so bad that you, like, it happened, but it happened so that you could be the person that you are right at this particular time. And the person that you are is, again, beyond this body that you express to the world. So Pluto is deep-rooted emotional trauma. And let's say Capricorn, we're going to just call that limitations or limits. So deep-rooted trauma and its limitations is another thing. You might be recognizing the limitations to your deep-rooted trauma. And the reason why you might be recognizing that is because you're recognizing your limitations at this time, your restrictions at this time, your self-limiting beliefs, and realizing, wait, this goes kind of way back, like way back from time G, back there. If you're experiencing that, that's indicative of this time right now. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Venus. Let's consider Venus value and Libra balancing. So value balancing. You might be realizing that you're balancing your values because you were treated in a way that you did not appreciate in a connection. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I need to be treated better. I need to be treated better. So you might be realizing that your ego is transforming, that your limitations exist because of deep-rooted emotional trauma or experiences from the past, in past internalizations. And you might be balancing your value system. And all of this is happening on a mental, could be happening on a mental level, a physical level, emotional level, and spiritual level. Now, before we get into the conversations that these planets are having that we're hearing, or that you might be hearing, let me get into my deep root, my limiting belief. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, my forehead. So I made a video previously. I enjoyed watching it. I found it to be entertaining. I learned a lot. And I appreciated the feedback under the video in terms of conversation that was had or the things that it sparked. It was great. But while I was watching the video, I was watching my forehead pronounce itself. Now, to you, you might not recognize that I have a forehead that is anything. But to me, I realized that I had a forehead in watching that video. And I thought, okay, I can approach this two ways. Scorpio energy, we're in the Scorpio season. You're seeing hidden things about yourself. And the hidden things could terrify you, which is why some Scorpios may come off scary. And honestly, why Halloween is during the Scorpio season, because really, true and truly, the veil between the unseen world and the seen world is very, very thin during Scorpio season. So you might see real life demons, and you know what they really are? Aspects of ourselves, because we are layers and layers and layers and layers of information, not feeling, but we're layers. And this aspect of ourself is a layer of our expression. You know, there are aspects to what it is that we are, and it gets deeper and deeper. So this is an aspect of what we are, but as you get deeper, you realize that you're deeper than that. So I don't want to gaslight you into thinking that this virtual part of you is not real. It is. It's just not the full you. Or let me speak for myself and say that I am aware that what you can see is the tiniest part of me, if it is a fraction of who I am. Do you understand? So during Scorpio season, the veil is being recognized as thin. It's quite thin. This is when a lot of like ghost sightings happen, you know, when people are able to see spirits and stuff like that. We're not going to get into much of that, but I'm speaking to say that the veil is quite quite thin. And in that, the veil between your ego and your subconscious, so your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, is quite thin. During this time, you're going to recognize, or possibly recognize, this is another symptom of you seeing aspects of yourself that are like, whoa, okay, so that demon in the corner is actually me. It's actually an aspect of me. Okay, hi. My name is this aspect of myself. Nice to meet you, is a way that you can recognize that darkness in the corner, as opposed to run away from it. Both are valid valid experiences, but one is a reaction and one is a response. And I guess this comes down to what you want to do in life. Do you want to respond to things? Do you want to think about it and respond, or do you want to react and just go at, like, impulsively attack, or whatever your way of acting is? So during this time, a lot of people might be recognizing aspects of themselves that were once hidden. And in that, here comes my forehead, okay? I didn't realize it much before until now. I'm like, what? Okay, so my forehead comes up and out to me. And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way. I already cried about it. You see, Drake had it Drake had it wrong. And I can admit that I have insecurities, okay? I have insecurities. I cried about the fact that I had an insecurity and it was so physical. And that this physical aspect of myself had me so focused on myself in this 3-dimension. Like, not me in this 3-dimension here to fulfill a purpose, but here because my forehead kind of looks like kind of big to me. And oh my gosh, like, it looks big. Everyone's gonna see it. Like, can you imagine if I came back with bangs, like, to hide it? That's a response. That's a response to seeing yourself. I saw myself in a different way. I saw myself from a different angle. I saw myself, and I am not gonna laugh about it first and cry after. I'm gonna cry about it first. My crying is adjusting and laugh about it now, because you know what? It is not the point. 2, I had to adjust to the seeing of myself from that aspect. The whole fact that I could see myself and see my forehead from this vantage point is a blessing. So now I can see myself from a wider vantage point. And 3, I realized that it has no bearing on my beauty, because beauty is skin deep. But still, if it were to be skin deep, I'm cute. And that's not the point. But I'm recognizing this is something that we need to understand within ourselves, because I know that we all have an insecurity. If it's like a pooch or a punch, if it is like a flappy underarm, if it's a nose that you feel is bigger than it should be, like, who are we to say? Just like the truth, the way that you look is the truth. Yeah, like, the way that you look is the truth. Who are we to adjust that truth so that who can absorb it, so that who can acknowledge, like, so that who can, this is not to say that we can't change. This is not to say that, but it's like, what is motivating your change of your truth, which is what you look like in this form at this time? Is it out of fear? Is it so that people can accept you? Is it so that you can accept yourself? Because really and truly, what changed me from seeing my forehead as something that pronounces itself and says forehead, to me actually having a forehead, was my perception of it. Now it's cute. Now it's mine. Now it's cute and mine. You know, it's holding my brain inside of my head. I really hope that this audio is good. It's holding my brain inside of my head. It became so, I respected my forehead, and the tears that I was crying, it was like, I'm so grateful to have a forehead. I'm so grateful to have a forehead that holds my skull in place. Like, the forehead, behind it is my skull, behind it is my brain, all this protection. I was so grateful to have that experience, to cry about that in the Metro parking lot with my best friend on my birthday yesterday, and realize that I am grateful to have a forehead. I'm grateful to have a forehead. And when would I ever come to this conclusion? I have no idea. I needed to be insecure about it to recognize that I had it, honestly. So to go back to our insecurities, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, all of these insecurities are meant for us to experience. And how you go through that experience is up to you. You can hate it and come back with bangs. Come back with bangs to the side. I'm imagining like Justin Bieber bangs. Like, Justin Bieber in the heyday, back in the day, Justin Bieber bangs. Or you can come back, talk about the fact that you were, you know, a little bit insecure, a little more insecure than you. The ground was shaky beneath your feet, only to fall into gratitude and to cry with first sadness for the fact that you have an insecurity. I have an insecurity, to crying with like compassion for the fact that I have one, but then also with such reverence for the fact that I have a forehead. I have a forehead. Our gifts come as wounds sometimes. So now with that, let's all just give ourselves a hug. Like, let's give ourselves a hug. We put ourselves through so much, because if we get to the point where we realize that we are not our body, and then we're stressing out ourselves because of our body's physical look in this three-dimensional reality, what the heck? We have a nose because it's purposeful in this three-dimensional environment to breathe in the oxygen and to, you know, to live in this atmosphere. So to bat up yourself or to badger yourself because you have a paunch, you have a forehead, you have a nose that you find to be big or small, forehead to be big or small, a butt to be big or small, a body to be big or small, height to be big or small. Our insecurities can go on and on and on. Thought to be big or small. All of this, everything is changeable. Every single thing is changeable. And the reason why it's changeable is because you on the inside can change your perception of the outside. You could change how you look at it. So now to the conversation. To these conversations that are happening, because one of the conversations can be about appearance. So the first conversation that is happening, I have my notes because I realize that in order to be efficient, accurate, and optimized, there needs to be a system. You know, there needs to be a system so that eventually this goes on autopilot. I know my system and I just say what I have to say. You know, that's how we optimize things and grow things in this three-dimensional reality. I'm noticing that has been this formula, if you will. I'm realizing that I'm not in the middle. It's all good. You can see me, and that's the point. So I wrote down the conversations. The first conversation is between the sun in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn. We're going to get a little deep for a second, because the sun in Scorpio is compatible with Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto is also Scorpio's ruler, or one of them. So the conversation is quite a deep conversation. This is like a deep conversation between your ego transformation being connected to your awareness of deep-rooted emotional trauma or deeper emotional internalizations in reference to your perceived limitations, self-limiting beliefs, your perception, and how limited that scope is, how restricted that scope is, what laws you tell yourself inside of yourself, what laws you tell yourself. So the first conversation is you are changing, and your limitations, I'm going to read this because I wrote it purposefully. So let's see. You're changing, and your limitations are being linked to deep-rooted beliefs made for you because of your past. So these are conclusions that have been made for you from time, from back in the day, like I said, in the heyday. They've been made for you from then. And now you are able to see why things are the way they are right now because of your sight back then. That's a possibility. Or you are holding on to your self-concept, that fragile self-concept with all that you got, and reacting to anything that triggers you, because it's going to shatter your fragile and limited scope on what it is that you are. And in this state, you are completely three-dimensional. People, places, and things yourself are all going to be triggering at this time because you're trying to wait. No. This broken glass that you glued together, you don't want nothing to touch it because one touch will make it fall apart. That's the ego. These are the two possible conversations that can be happening. In life, there's a high side and a low side, just like there's a high vibe and a low vibe. Let me get into the center. There's a high vibe and a low vibe. And the reason why I'm not in the center is because my laptop is here. So let's get back to being functional, actually. There's a high side and a low side. So the first was the high side of you recognizing, okay, so I have deep-rooted trauma and it's connected to this, and this is why I'm transforming, and this is good for me because now I can see all those hidden aspects of myself in Scorpio season, and now there's more light in my life because the hidden things are gone. This is what shadow work is called. This is what shadow work is, becoming aware and shining light. Your awareness is the light, your consciousness is the lightness to the darkness, which is your unconsciousness, or your unconscious self, subconscious self. So that's one conversation that's happening. The other conversation that is happening is with Venus in Libra, with Pluto in Capricorn. Okay? So just how I said Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, if Scorpio was to be in Pluto right now, it would be at home. Right now, Venus is at home in Libra. That's where it is, because Venus is the ruler of Libra. Please, not trying to make this complicated, but I promise you that it correlates. Venus is the ruler of Libra, and Pluto is in Capricorn. These energies create a rude conversation. So conversations in the within the planets can be harmonious, and they can be disharmonious. The first conversation between the Sun and Pluto was harmonious because Scorpio and Capricorn are compatible. Libra and Capricorn are not compatible. They're meant to change each other. That's what they're meant to do. Disharmony in our life is meant to change us, ourselves, as well as what we're interacting with or encountering. And right now, the conversation between Libra and Capricorn, I can even just talk off the top of my head. The first conversation could be Libra's like, oh my God, love and light. Like, we're all beautiful. The world is beautiful. And Capricorn is judging Libra. So it would be Pluto is judging Venus. Like, okay, but you know you're ugly, right? Because that comment that was made when you were 5, yeah, when that person called you ugly, we're still holding on to that. So meanwhile, you can have this conversation about love and light and everything is cute, but deep down, you know you're ugly. That's the type of stuff. These are the type of conversations. These are the type of feelings that could be happening within us where we are unsure. Like, where's this coming from? It's because these planets are moving and conversing and interacting and inciting this within us for us to work through. That conversation can also be, where's the good one? Because I said it. So now with the conclusion of being called ugly with the Pluto energy, it can then equal you coming back with bangs, you concealing parts of yourself that you are insecure about. Or it's like love and light, because now I can see all aspects of myself. Now the Venus energy is not like, oh my God, it's so beautiful on the surface, but realizing that the beauty is skin and internal. And now it's like, oh, I'm beautiful because I recognize that I was once called ugly, and that doesn't faze me because I know that that person that called me that feels that way about themselves. And I know that therefore my perception of my beauty, outside or inside, both, all the way around, comes from my perception. The conversation can be changed. And in that, we're talking about accountability. In order for us to change our perception on things, it requires us to be accountable for what we are. And in order to be accountable, we have to be able to see ourselves. We have to be able to see ourselves. And in seeing ourselves, not flinch at ourselves. No, oh my God, like chocolate. I think of, anyway, Dave Chappelle, but I think of, you have to be able to see yourself. Look at yourself, look at your forehead, look at the way you deal with your emotional issues or emotional situations. Look at yourself, look at it, not flinch, take it in. And you know, another way that these things happen is when you have those memories in the middle of the night when you're telling yourself, okay, it's time to go to bed. And then you remember, oh my, I did that. Those cringy moments, to experience those moments. Or those conversations that you had with people and you wish you said this, and now it's like when you experience it, you want to flinch, like to not move. Don't move and experience that again. Experience it. Because every time we move and we flinch, we push it back in the queue. Allow it to happen. Allow it to happen. What happens in those moments is we take away the power from that situation and use it to feed ourselves, make ourselves, bigger because of our awareness of what we are. We can take in that, yeah, I could have said that and I didn't. And the reason why I didn't say that is context, context, context. There's so much context to life. So accountability requires awareness, and awareness requires you to see yourself and accept yourself, to see yourself and not change yourself, not maneuver the head, maneuver it so that I'm talking from a perspective where it's more palatable to my ego, where we're seeing it right on and recognizing that this is me and this is me. Make whatever reasoning you want, but recognizing at the end of the whatever justification you have that you are you and that is that. That's all. By doing so, when it comes to your interactions with other people, you'll be able to see yourself, which is what most people are afraid of looking at, and therefore have a more well-rounded approach to addressing people, places, situations, and yourself. So for example, you are having a good day and all of a sudden you remember something from the past and what you want to do, equivalent to you sleeping in your bed at night and you hear a sound. A lot of people will make fun of the people that go into the problem and investigate the problem, but those people are trying to understand. They're trying to get to the point of the problem. Like, what is it? So it could look foolish. Like, why are you walking towards the noise? When you walk towards your fear with fear and it keeps you keep going, like when you walk towards your fear and keep going, that's called bravery, is it not? Isn't that not courageousness? To walk towards that feeling. So now you're having a good day, and now all of a sudden this icky feeling comes surfacing out of who knows where, mainly from your heart space, because it's rooted to your past and the time that you were under the age of 7, where most of our traumas take place in our heart to access because of our memory being foggy. When those things come up to the surface, it's a blessing, because otherwise, how else would you go and investigate that? Are you like, it's very hard to go and prod at your mind to go back to those times, as opposed to certain circumstances making those things come to the surface. Now, when that happens, you could be the person to pretend that you don't hear it or try to run away from it, or you can encounter it. So now this feeling comes up, you can allow it to come up. Recognize that your day is changing from a harmonious day to one that feels a little more uncomfortable. So let's say a comfortable day to an uncomfortable one. And now you can allow yourself some poise and grace and gentleness to experience what this feeling is here to show us. Our thoughts, our feelings, our environment, this is all information for us to understand ourselves and the world around us more. It's not for us to judge. Because when we judge, we put up a wall and make it impossible to understand, because we're creating the understanding already by telling it that it's wrong. That's what we're doing when we judge. Just like your feelings. When you feel a certain way to something, let's say you were in experience with someone and you feel like you were treated wrongly, honoring those feelings allows you to honor the truth. Who are we to change the truth? That's how you feel. That feeling is meant to teach you something, versus like trying to ignore the feeling or trying to change that feeling into something else. First, you got to acknowledge that you feel that way and get to the reason why, because that is the message. Pluto is deep-rooted trauma with gold at the end. Imagine like fishing into the deep waters of your subconscious, and it might hurt when the fishing rod or whatever that it's going to catch the bait goes into your subconscious mind. It might hurt, but when you pull it out, what is at the end? Gold, because now you are aware of more, turning your darkness into lightness. But now you can approach people differently. Now you have more insight, like you're aware of more. Awareness is the gold, I guess, is just in a nutshell. So the point of this video, because I don't want to repeat, is at this time, you might be feeling yourself transform. And that transformation might be very uncomfortable. It might be one where you're recognizing deep-rooted emotional traumas that exist within you. And you might not have a therapist. And the therapy that you have it might be a journal or your friend to talk about after you ask them if you can talk about it and not just unload on them. But it could be that. And at this time, experiencing that might feel challenging, but as you go through it, you might come to the realization that this is something that needs to happen. And through that, you see the limiting scope that you've existed in. And now you can feel that tension between Venus and Pluto, where it's like, I'm ugly, I'm cute, I'm ugly, I'm cute, and realize that you're actually both and none at the same time. You're ugly and cute in one. We're walking paradoxes in one. And in order to move on in a healthy way, in terms of to encounter ourselves in a healthy way, other people, places, and things, the world around us, the environment in a healthy way, we have to be able to accept ourselves. Because if not, we will then look at someone with a forehead like yours or like mine or the punch, whatever your insecurity is, you will look at that within someone else and call them ugly because of it. Meanwhile, you have it too. Where you could understand through having it why having it could make someone insecure, and then also why having it, like through having it, you can realize that you're beautiful regardless. Your beauty has nothing to do with it, and you can find even the purpose for why it's there, because there's a purpose for all things if we look deep enough. Planets communicate. And these conversations we can hear through our feelings, our thoughts, and our environment. This is why you are not your thoughts. This is why you are not your environment. This is why you are not your feelings, because it's stirred up by forces that are beyond your control. How you respond or react to the situation is the control that you possess. I've been looking at the headphones in the background. I hope it looks like I'm looking at the camera. It's just been looking there. But anyway, I say that because I'm like staring at it. How you respond or react to the feelings, emotions, mental, like your thoughts, your environment, how you react to that is where your power really is. So if you are then able to recognize that and then come to a point in your journey where you're realizing your ugliness and you don't flinch, and you recognize how your ugliness is related to all things that you experienced in life, and then somehow you realize that it's related to some beauty because it's going to take you there. Because life, there, on one side we have ugly, on the other side we have cute. They're both appearances. They're one in the same, just inverted. Therefore, they really don't matter. It's a holistic thing, and it's like our experience is beyond that. But you'll realize that within ugly, there's beautiful. Within beautiful, there is ugly. And you'll realize that judgment is the killer of acceptance. Judgment interferes with acceptance. And if you are able to accept yourself without judgment, become accountable for the part that you play in your circumstances, in your interactions with yourself, places, environment, people, if you're able to not judge and accept, or not judge and become accountable, accept and become aware, you're on the road to a healthy lifestyle. You're on the road to a healthy lifestyle. So that was my point for today. If you like videos like this, please like it. If you have any thoughts, anything arising, especially how you're doing, because I care, like how you doing, please comment down in the comments below. And if you enjoy content like this and you want more of it, subscribe to my channel because there's more to come. There are endless conversations in this universe, multiverse, and in this experience that we're in that can go on for years and years and decades and millennia. I hope that, like millennia, hope that makes sense in terms of where it's placed in this conversation. It can go on forever and ever. So I'm saying I have a lot of things to say, and if you want to hear it, yeah, subscribe. Anyway, have yourself a great day. You can look forward to new readings on my channel for those who watch the tarot as well. I'm trying something new, so you can look out for that around the 15th of November. And enjoy your weekend. I'm filming this on Friday, November 6th, and I plan to upload it on Friday, November 6th. All right, take care. Toodles.